Hi, welcome to our show, Crooked Doctors, and we have some guests in the studio, and I want to introduce them in just a minute. The reason why they're here today is because I promised people who were helpful to me, and you know my story. My show is an opportunity for me to make oral argument, and what I'm doing is on my Crooked Doctors blog, I am presenting the documentary evidence and other evidence, and I needed more time to be able to give oral explanations. So I talked to law enforcement today, not Ed DeFazio at the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office, which we'll get to in a minute, but to other law enforcement, Mr. Ed DeFazio, and you should be scared. But I talked to other law enforcement today, and they understand that there's a cover here, and that what I'm really doing in this show is oral argument or oral explanation. So I'm talking through the litigation points that they need to see. So not only are we broadcasting live in Manhattan, but I'm also taping live, and these tapes are going up on YouTube. So I have friends who are prosecutors and lawyers in other states, and they're going to be listening to the oral explanations as I talk through the litigation points that I need to prosecute, for example, Detective Colon from the 34th Precinct, who lied on the witness stand. That's not kosher, Detective Colon. But I promise there were people who helped me, for example, the Nassau County Civic Association and Reverend Sharpton's organization. I happen to be a member of the National Action Network. And what I promised all the people who helped me is that when I got a forum, and there were other people who needed help, that I would make available to them an opportunity also to do what they needed to do. So today we have two guests in the studio, and I'm going to give them some time on my show, and they're going to talk about some of the things that some of the issues that they're involved with. They're helpful, and of course they know how to push my hot buttons, because all they had to say was 9/11 first responders, and as soon as they said first responders, I was there. So yeah, they know how to hit my hot buttons. I want to put out a disclaimer because Cindy L. is the president and founder of Firefighters Cancer Organization. She happened to be in town. This all happened very last minute because there was an opportunity where she said I could use some help, and Keith LeBeau said, "Oh, let me make a phone call." Yeah. And the next thing I knew, we had a show. Cindy L. Cindy, may I call you Cindy?
Absolutely.
I'm sure there'll be time where Cindy will, I wanted to protect her and her organization and her integrity. So just because you came on my show does not mean that you sanction or endorse anything that I'm doing. This is the disclaimer. I'm just making available some airtime to Cindy and her organizations for firefighters. By the way, I love firefighters, and there was a time in my life where it was the volunteer fire department that saved my life when I was living in Green Lawn, Long Island with my family, and our house almost burned to the ground.
Oh no.
Cindy's a member of a firefighters organization, and she's going to be telling you why she's here today, but I wanted to protect her integrity until she got to know me. And then when she does get to know me, and she does check me out, of course you're going to sanction and endorse me, because I'm a wonderful person and everything I'm saying is real and true. So Cindy is the president and founder of...
founder and president of the Firefighter Cancer Foundation. We organized 7 years ago, 2004. I've been tracking firefighter cancer and occupational disease for over 20 years. I'm a retired firefighter and paramedic from Anne Arundel, Maryland, with many friends and a large part of my heart here in New York. So.
Thank you. And the reason why she's here is because there were lots of firefighters who were injured at 9/11, and they can't breathe because the stuff that what would you say, emulsified and breathed in affected...
Vaporized.
Vaporized.
Yeah.
But I think the correct scientific term is emulsified or
Seems
aerated.
Those are two of the favorite terms. It's such an intense combination of chemicals, many of which they'll never fully identify, none that we hopefully will never see again in our lifetime, but ones that unfortunately medicine can't seem to identify or diagnose presently, but we have a lot of very sick people that need help.
So if you were injured in 9/11 and you need help, what Cindy's here is that she's trying to, in her organization, she's arranged, we're going to surf the web and you can see her web, site. She's partnering with an organization to make available, either at very low cost or hopefully at no cost, air filters for 9/11 first responders who have breathing problems, like Mr. Keith LeBeau, who's a 9/11 first responder. You want to give a plug to the ironworkers?
Well, what I'd like to give a plug to is, besides the cops and the firefighters, EMS, EMT, FBI, DEA, construction, volunteers, everybody that showed up that day. It was more than just cops and firefighters that were there.
Absolutely.
There was close to 50,000 of us there those first few days in order to expedite the cleanup, the debris removal, and also the recovery of the bodies. I was a volunteer down there, and I did search and rescue.
For the ironworkers.
I was not yet an iron worker. I was a volunteer.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting to go into the ironworkers at that point.
Okay.
And I just happened to be in the area trying to get on a friend's job, and all hell broke loose, and I just went right in.
And I'd like to give a plug here to all the people who ran into the fire instead of running out.
Right.
And when because that's what firemen do, and that's what police officers do, and that's what volunteers do. They run into the danger while everybody else is running out. So let me go to, we have the power here at M&N. Oh, by the way, I should give a plug to Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Very helpful people, wonderful folks.
Yeah,
this is not the only time you're going to see Cindy. I'm sure she's going to be back. And
excited too.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is go to her internet site. Oh, this is Cindy L, and this is her internet site. She's live on Friday, August 26, 2011, and her internet site is called, her website is ffcancer.org, and it's firefighterscancer.org. So we're going to take a little look at that, and then the immediate reason for her to be here is not just to tell you about the organization and what we're going on, but if you need an air filter, we're going to look at those air filters, and you can contact Cindy. She's got a phone number. By the way, that Cindy's organization is nonprofit, so if the spirit moves you and you would like to give, what, $1?
Every dollar counts.
Right.
Every dollar.
This is Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and we're public access, so we, according to our policies and rules, we don't sell anything.
Correct.
But because this is a nonprofit, and if you feel that you would like to help people with breathing problems, get an air filter, you can call Cindy, and she can tell you how to do that. So let's look at Cindy's website. Okay, and here's Cindy's website, and we're going to just surf around a little bit. This is Cindy's website.
Now, I'd like to say thank you to the generosity of some people, including Cindy and her wonderful foundation. I am due to be one of the recipients of this
and we'll look at those
filter.
We'll look at those filters in just one second, but this is Cindy L. And this is the board of directors, and so she's the critical care paramedic and
cancer
survivor, retired firefighter, sorry. And by the way, I was very impressed with the members of your board, particularly the attorney.
Thank you.
And so these are the organizations that
he's actually a good attorney from Long Island.
He's excellent.
He was born and raised here. Phenomenal guy, doesn't take no for an answer, and he has chutzpah like nobody's business.
And listen, I just have to correct you. When you say Long Island, it's Long Island.
Long Island.
Sweetheart.
Long Island.
That's right. That's right. I need to work on the dialect a little more. I apologize.
Darling, sweetheart, Bubby, it's Long Island.
Yes.
Okay, so what we want to do is scroll down here, and this is the group. Do you want to say the name of the group?
Sure. Magna Grip Group is an amazing partner that we have out of Cincinnati, Ohio. They make this air filter available to us, and we're going to go to the AirHawk 265.
Should I be clicking on this?
If you want to scroll down, it's a smaller unit.
Okay.
Maybe scroll to the right. If you go, slide to your right.
Oh, this way.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to do this?
Sure. Let's go to the AirHawk.
Okay.
And
this is just like your regular.
Is that the bottom one?
Yes, it's going to be the bottom one. AirHawk 265. This little unit is 23 pounds. It's whisper quiet. It was assessed by NIH before we added it to our program, and we actually added this to our program originally post-Katrina. We had firefighters that were dying not from their cancer but from the dirty hospitals after the hurricane. And we had to give them a sterile environment to basically take their chemo and recuperate from their cancer in. Within 72 hours of putting these units in 3 different hospital rooms in 3 different hospitals, these firefighters were back on their chemotherapy and their fevers and their infections were under control. We looked at the value of having something like this and what a difference in the quality of life it could make for people that had emphysema, asthma, allergies, immune issues.
And what we want to emphasize is you're not trying to sell this product.
No, we're not. We're actually trying to give people quality of life.
And so what you do through your organization is you partner with it. Exactly how do you, if, let's say Keith, Mr. LeBeau had a breathing problem, he would call your organization and you would say, well, look, normally these sell at, some ridiculous amount of money, but we can purchase this for you and donate it to you or help you pay for this at a low cost. So this is all nonprofit. You're not selling, you're not pushing, you're not.
No, we receive these units at cost. If someone would like to donate this, say a charitable organization can donate a unit to someone that they want to assist, we actually issue a tax-deductible letter with a purchase of the unit through us. So that's the mechanism that we developed with our wonderful partner in Ohio. These are made in the USA, which was very important to us as an organization. And they've made such a difference in the quality of life of those with the WTC cough, with infections and secretions and all the incredible illnesses that we've seen post 9/11 here.
Okay, so if we go to your, I'm going to go back a little bit. You know what? Let me go back.
You can actually click where it says we support the Firefighter Cancer Foundation. You can click on that. It'll take you right back to our website.
Where do I see
At the bottom right.
Okay. So if I'm over here,
there, see where the icon is up a little bit?
Oh, we support.
There you go.
There we go.
You
we support the Firefighter.
You got it.
Okay, so if we click on this.
Yep. And then click up to the left again on our actual logo.
Here we
now
go.
drop down left.
Here we go.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
And we're back. So these are your partners.
Yes.
Okay.
We started working with the Feel Good Foundation about 6 years ago.
Oh, this is the, let's go to the Feel Good. Okay, this is the Feel Good Foundation. Okay.
An amazing group that I attribute truly to the passage of the 9/11 healthcare bill, and I think offering support as an umbrella organization for all of the first responders and the entire community here out of New York. The folks here are very lucky that the Feel Good Foundation board really aggressively took the lead and stepped out in front, put their lives on hold to take care of the first responders. And it doesn't matter whether folks served in a paid capacity, a volunteer capacity, for the Salvation Army, for the iron workers, for sanitation workers, fire police, it doesn't matter. If you're a responder that was there and you served and you made the sacrifices of your time and your life that day and the following weeks, then you receive the care and love and support from this organization.
So would you like to talk about
John Feel. John has been instrumental in my life. Up until 3 years ago, I was stuck. I was having, lots of problems. I was trying to get help. I couldn't get any help, and then somebody that's now in California, a lady named Reggie Cervantes, who was in the movie Sicko, turned to me one day and she said to me, she goes, look, I know you're having problems. Here's what you do. You contact these people, the Feel Good Foundation, sign up with them, and your life will start to change. And since then, my life has changed. And since I joined with them in March 2008, I must have done 30 trips to DC for the Zadroga bill itself, which was just passed in December, which was a December miracle, because there was so many times where we thought this wasn't going through, but by the grace of God, it actually got through.
And you actually talked to Nancy Pelosi, and I'm going to say, because you're trying to be nice, and you guys are trying to be nice, I'm going to say, and I have a reputation for being a little bit of an attack dog, I'm going to say what nobody else will say, and what Nancy Pelosi is scared to death that might get out there. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen in the viewing audience. If we don't take care of our first responders, and this includes military, if we don't take care of our first responders, what you might end up finding out is that next time around, first response is going to be no response, and that would be what? a license on America, and we're not having that.
No.
Okay, so we're not having that.
No.
So America is actually a unique country. My parents came here, my mother came here from a communist country where people could not make free associations, where people could not get together and do the kinds of things that they needed to do. And America needs to be strong and free.
Absolutely.
Because we actually are a beacon to other countries. When you oppress your people, they come here and they get a second chance in life. America has to be free, strong, and brave, because without us, and I say this with all due respect to other countries, there has to be another place in the world where the oppressed peoples of the world can come to, and that's America. And we're the risk takers, we're the entrepreneurs, we're the people like my mother who came here with literally, the clothes on her back and $5 in her pocket, and she lived the American dream. So we have to be, because America serves as a beacon to other countries. And so what I want to look at now is, let's look at, this is the Feel Good Foundation. And if you want to call them and talk to their group. There was another group that you work with too that we wanted to talk about, so let's bring them up. Was this Tuesday's Child?
Tuesday's Children.
Tuesday's Children. If I type this in, will we come to them, or are they on your website?
They're not on the website yet. We've just begun working with them.
The website's right here on the back of the
Here we go.
hat.
Well, but I got to pull this up. So
TuesdaysChildren.org.
Oh, it's Tuesday's Children. Okay, Tuesday's Children. Listen, while I'm pulling this up so we can look at it, how about if you read to the audience your toll-free number?
Sure.
And your email address.
Absolutely. You can reach us several ways. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a toll-free number, which is 866-411-3323. That's 866-411-3323. Through our website, which is www.ffcancer.org. That's FF as in firefighter, cancer.org. And you can also reach us through traditional mail, which is P.O. Box 2830, Wilmington, Delaware, 19805. You can type in firefightercancer.org or ffcancer.org, and you'll find us easily on the internet.
But what's really wonderful about your 1-800 number that you were talking about is that somebody's always there.
Someone is always available 24 hours a day. It not only goes directly into my phone, we have it set up so it actually goes to a number of our board of directors' phones at the same time.
That's huge.
That's the miracle of technology these days.
That's huge. So no matter what happens,
Absolutely.
if I'm a firefighter, I can call somebody and there's a lifeline out there.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Great work. Great.
Well, firefighters, police officers, first responders are the lifeline for the community. They need a lifeline to take care of them.
Beautiful.
So that really is the service that we're providing. Our goal within the next 5 years is actually to be a full first responder organization. So we would actually be providing resources across the board for all first responders, fire, police, military. We're actually setting up a whole veterans division right now. Again, to take care of our wounded warriors, our folks that need assistance when they first return. Again, all things that impact our people that we care about and that take care of us.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for coming here
Thanks
today.
for having us.
Oh,
this is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be, you're welcome back. And
we appreciate it.
Let me go to Tuesday's
Children. We met Anne Marie Bauman, who is one of the representatives of Tuesday's Children during her service with the Feel Good Foundation. And like many in service, she wears multiple hats. And
should I go to About Us?
About Us would be great.
Okay. And
if we scroll down a little bit.
We're talking to...
Keep coming down.
Now with Anne Marie, since I joined with the Feel Good Foundation, I've gotten to know her very well, and I thank God that this lady has come into my life. She's meant so much, because she's actually, you know, like I was saying before, when I was stuck and I didn't know what to do, she actually made me feel like I was a part of the family. That's what we need to do with more responders. We believe it or not, we are a family. We are united in a common, not only tragedy, but also a triumph, because we all came together as a nation. Because 431 out of 435 congressional districts within the United States all sent people. We have people all over the place. You know, they might not be sick. They might not be sick now. There's some that are sick. They have to start reaching out in the 9/11 community, because otherwise, you know, we're not going to know about these people, and they're not going to be able to find a way to get help. So if anybody knows anybody that's a good responder that's sick or having problems or needs to speak to somebody, they can reach out to the Feel Good Foundation, to Cindy if they want. They can reach out to Tuesday's Children. There's quite a few of us. They can even look me up online, and if they want, you can post my an email address that I'll give you later on. And if they want, they can reach out to me, and I will start helping them get I'll help them do what they can, you know, to start getting on the right road to getting help.
Oh, I told Cindy when she asked me, and I told Mr. LeBeau yesterday when he called me and said, "Can I get Cindy on your show?" I'm like, "Of course." This is not a one-shot deal. I mean, you're invited back. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can come back and talk to the Manhattan community, and because we stream live on the internet to reach out to literally the world. So this is not a one-shot. I'm sure we'll be seeing Cindy. And of course, you have to get to know me, because once you get to know me,
I'm going to love you.
Well, you're going to do more than get to know me. You're going to say, "Lydia, what?" Because part of my Crooked Doctors show is exposing crime and corruption, and specifically towards me. But when I started doing the work to support my legal case against my medical school, there were other victims who called me and were building their case on mine.
Sure.
And eventually, you know, my issues started at an individual level, incorporated other individuals, went to a city, state, national, and international issues. So, you know, so when you get to know me, you're going to realize that, oh my goodness, there are compelling issues here, and I'm going to ask your organization and some of your members for some support for my online petition.
Sure.
Not now, because I want to maintain, we discussed this before the show, I want to maintain your integrity, and I want to give you time to get to know me and check me out. But I have lots of credibility, and I check out well. And, you know, so of course it's not a one-shot deal, but for now, Cindy and her organization and the Feel Good Foundation, Tuesday's Children, they do not sanction and endorse me. They're just here because they're doing some good work. This is a nonprofit organization. There are people that are hurt, and they're trying to help them. And I would say that as a doctor, I was going to be a doctor until I was illegally expelled from my medical school without a fair hearing in violation of, this is the worst medical school. I mean, unbelievable. But I thought this was unique to me. I was illegally expelled from my medical school. I could not even be in the room. My civil rights were, I could not be in, this is a life-altering event where a student is being illegally expelled, and I was not permitted to be in the room to hear the arguments against me. It was outrageous. My professors gave false, unsworn testimony against me. I could not be in the room to hear the arguments against
Unconstitutional?
me. Oh my gosh, we're going to get to that. I've already been to the unit. We'll talk about the U.S. Supreme Court. But there was an organization, the American Medical Students Association. The president of their organization, Kavita Patel, was a lioness fighting for you can't do this, how dare you. But when I was working in the emergency room at Long Island Jewish Medical Center, of course, I mean, the people would bring us the injured people, were the firefighters, were the police, were, so of course doctors have to work in long-term productive relationships with firefighters. So you're not sanctioning and endorsing me now. You know, I want to preserve the integrity of your organization. At some point, I would hope that you would get to know me and some of the issues in our case, and maybe the firefighters could help protect the medical students, because what I discovered was that the faculty had protections, the unions, the workers had medical students were so vulnerable. There was no there was no way to protect us.
And that's something that as average citizens we don't think about. You know, the foundation started because we had a large number of firefighters in Maryland that were exposed to ultra-hazardous PCBs. We started as a resource organization because the families needed organization, they needed resources. They were losing their homes, not receiving their medicines, losing their vocations, losing their families. They might survive their cancer, but they were losing everything else. So that was what started the work as far as for the foundation, and then we grew from there. We're actually a global organization now. Working
This is fascinating. When did you start?
Yeah, we started in 2004 officially as a foundation. My research in this started over 20 years ago.
Wow, so it's amazing how you started officially as a foundation in 2004. It's amazing how you've grown.
Right, tremendous, tremendous. Well, I have an amazing board and incredible talent and folks with passion and heart. And I think if you have that, then you can accomplish anything. So we've set some very big goals for the organization, but we also have some amazing folks, both in the business world and privately, that have helped us to survive and thrive, and we're just getting bigger and better.
So what are some of your goals?
Well, as I said, we have a 5-year goal, hopefully to become a full first responder organization serving those around the world. We already have chapters presently in Canada, Australia, in addition to the U.S., and then individuals throughout Europe. We are now linking cancer research organizations here in the U.S. with those in Canada, Australia. We just partnered a cancer center in Detroit with Istanbul, Turkey firefighters.
Oh, you know.
So, and again, that's thanks to Facebook, oddly enough, and the wonders of the internet.
You know, one of the things that makes America unique is freedom of association.
Absolutely.
You have no idea how, no, you really don't know how close this hits to my heart, because my mother lived in a communist country where you could not live anywhere you wanted to live. You could not go to school if you wanted to go to school. You could not take any job where you wanted to. You could not
travel.
You could you could not freely associate. And I never understood how where you would have the secret police come to your house, kill people, and that would be, I never understood that kind of fear until the repressive tactics that were used against me. I mean, I would have never, I was in America, I was like, well, open your mouth, we have free speech. They can't, we have civil rights, you know, they can't take anything away from me. Until you get into the dirty details, I had no idea on what really went on. So, I mean, I was, the fact that I had no idea when I was a medical school student. I'm like, well, you know, I have rights, this stuff will happen. I had no idea how bad my medical school was, how they rigged the system to deprive people of their rights, how they literally would destroy the lives of innocent people. There was a wonderful guy when I was building my case, researching my case, called Dr. Garg. He was an incredibly good student at my medical school. He had witnessed a medical malpractice. The doctors in the school got scared. They thought there was going to be a big medical malpractice suit. There wasn't. They trumped up some false charges and they railroaded him out of school. At my medical school, the Albert Einstein College of Medicine of Yeshiva University, a false accusation is enough to ruin an innocent person's life. Now, how hard could this be for a medical school to sit down and write a statement of student rights that fully comports with the spirit of the law? That means if they want to get rid of you, there should be some sort of hearing procedure where you can be, oh my gosh, in the room to hear the arguments against you.
You mean facing your accuser?
Oh.
I'm sorry, something different, right?
No, we're going to head off. Great. We actually went to Elie Wiesel, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Holocaust survivor. I was shocked when this happened to me. I was, to say that I was profoundly upset when other students called me would be an incredible understatement. I was like, they just do this routinely? And we had organized ourselves up. We'd gone to Elie Wiesel, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Holocaust survivor, and we'd said, you know, and he sits on the board of my medical school. We're like, you survived the Holocaust, for God's sakes. If anybody knows what it's like to have everything, literally everything, taken away from you,
oppression.
but you know, without the rule of law, it would be you, Mr. Wiesel, and you know, you are uniquely qualified because you run around the globe and say things like, you know, where there is injustice, we must interfere. I'm like, okay.
Great quote.
Oh yeah. Personally, I think he's stealing from a rabbi, to be really honest with you, because I read, no, seriously.
What commandment does that break again?
No.
Sorry.
There are a lot of rabbis who actually ghostwrite.
Okay.
And he had this Nobel Peace Prize. When they gave him the Nobel Peace Prize, he was making a speech and he said, you know, it's very difficult to be a Jew. And the reason for that is because we have the special mandate from God. This is what he's saying.
Sure.
And our special mandate from God is when there is injustice, we must interfere. So I go to Mr. Elie Wiesel and I say, oh, okay.
Interfering.
Before you get on that train, before you get on that plane and go to Darfur and make a lot of trouble for the Arabs over there, you know, why don't you interfere, Mr. Where there is injustice, we must. This is your school.
Right.
Okay, you're on the board of trustees. I've been railroaded out. Other students are calling me, and we're
Right.
building the Yeshiva Victims Group, and we're coming to you, Mr. Elie Wiesel, and saying, you know, who would know better than you?
Sure.
So could you please interfere at our medical school? Years are going by. Mr. Where there is injustice, we must interfere. Interfere! Please, dear God, we're begging you, interfere! But the nice thing about the firefighters is, and I'm going to, and when I was talking to Rob Gazowski of the Nassau County Civic Association, you know, anecdotally, you know, when I got in trouble with the police, and the police, unfortunately, there are a few bad apples, had lied to put me in jail, and I caught them in their lies, which is part of my crooked doctors thing. Because the real problem at my medical school is Martin Bachstein. He's a dishonest attorney, and you get insight into how frustrated they are as prosecutors because they've omitted from the system a false accusation. All the protections for the accused have been omitted. So a false accusation is enough to destroy an innocent person's life at this medical school. But when I was talking to Rob, and I'm scared to death of the police because these people have guns. They'll kill me. I ran, not walked to the firemen, and they're like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "Because if you think about it, who's the enemy to firemen? And firewomen and firefighters. The enemy is the fire.
Right.
So they're more likely to sit down and say, and be self-critical and say, okay, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? How can we do better in the future?
Absolutely.
And they tend to be more honest because the enemy is the fire. The police officers, there tends to be a great blue wall of silence, and the same thing with medical doctors. There tends to be a great white wall of silence because who's the enemy there? Well, what if it's a cop? And what if he's your best friend? And what if he's got a gun? So you don't sit there and go, gee, let's sit around and talk about, what if the danger is, as in my case, the doctors who lie. They're less likely in the great white wall of silence to talk about that, and that is a huge disservice.
Well, we started because the fire instructors at our academy in Anne Arundel, Maryland, were lied to by Baltimore Gas and Electric.
No kidding.
They were told, we're going to give you this great oil. It's going to burn really pretty. You can train in it, you can walk in it, you can swim in it, you can even take it home to your families. On your gear, on your uniforms, your wives can wash it with your family's laundry. It's safe. We actually wash our hands in it here at Baltimore Gas and Electric, and we're all okay. Well, guess what? All the people that washed their hands at those times, they're all dead. They died of cancer.
So in that fuel was...
In that oil were ultra-hazardous levels of PCBs. And for 14 years, our firefighters from all around the Baltimore metro region trained at the Anne Arundel Fire Academy and were exposed to that ultra-hazardous PCB oil.
Did you prove this?
I was retired from the fire department on line of duty injury, and my vocational rehab training was as a paralegal. I went to work for Mr. Berman, who was the only one who believed that there was a link at the time between cancer and firefighting. And he didn't look at me like I was a crazy woman at the time.
Good, because they look at me like
Exactly. But I take that as a compliment these days. Because 10 years later now, we have proved that there are distinctive links between many of these cancers and firefighting. It's recognized now in, I believe, 39 states in the U.S., most of the provinces in Canada. We've just gotten legislation through in Australia for the first time. So
you can sue the hell out of these people?
I actually helped a lot of people come back and visit Anne Arundel County and go, hello, I was exposed, I have cancer, or unfortunately the families where the member passed, we went back and actually after their death won workman's comp benefits for the families.
That's true, because...
And that's the upside of what we do that way. So, but again, you know, these entities lie to you and tell you everything's safe, everything's fine. You can breathe the air. It's okay.
The EPA and Christy Todd Whitman did it to us.
Well, okay, let's not attack the
yeah.
Republican Party because, you know, I have friends in the Republican Party. But, yeah, and, you know, to be fair, they didn't know what they were dealing with at 9/11.
True.
It's.
True.
I mean, could you ever imagine? I mean, if you think of the evil genius involved, you don't need a bomb because the plane is the bomb.
Right.
You don't need a bomb because the building itself was
Sure.
a bomb, and they didn't even think about that. They just thought, okay, we'll drive the planes into the building, but it never occurred to
Right.
them that the building itself
Sure.
would become
Would be part of the killer.
would be the bomb.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant and it's evil.
Yeah.
But they didn't know what they were dealing with. And
Yeah.
to be I don't, you know, to be fair, okay, they should have been more honest, but they were probably sitting there thinking, do we want to panic all these people? You know, what can we? They shouldn't have lied. They should have been honest.
They should have been totally honest with us.
Yeah.
Because I know that the EPA, they were doing a lot of air sampling, a lot of air monitoring, and they were blowing zero, which means that each monitoring unit was clogged. And now they also knew what the buildings were made of. There was asbestos,
Cyanide.
there was
Mercury.
cyanide, there was mercury, there was lead, there was benzene from the air, from the fuel from the planes. There was human remains, there was PCBs, PCHs.
So all of this is being aerosoled, and you're breathing it in.
Superheated.
Superheated. It was like trying to breathe underwater. Because you know, like I was caught in the cloud with like a lot of other people, and that's where we got the worst exposure, was from that black cloud, because that was not only the gas igniting, but that was also what was coming from the buildings itself. And once you got hit with that, you got a really nasty dose of everything all at once. Now, to date, there's over 1,000, I believe it's 1,030 now?
I believe so.
1,030 people have died since then, and today is the second anniversary of Greg Corbell's death. Greg Corbell, I got to know him just shortly before he died. He had beaten cancer a few times. It went into remission, and then I saw him at a feel-good party that was in June of 2009, 2010. It was actually 2009. He was doing good. He said he's in remission, and then a couple of weeks later, I find out he was dead. He died of cancer. Now, what's going on?
And you have COPD, don't you?
I have COPD. I have RADS. I have asthma. I have GERD. I have
Can you
cellulitis.
work with COPD is for our viewing audience is
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder.
Right, so you can't breathe.
No.
It's
So how do you
it's
work
super
if you
hard to
can't
breathe.
breathe?
I have December 2009. I had to give up what I was doing, which was what I loved. I loved being an iron worker. I just can't do it anymore because I'm not physically capable of it.
So you should be applying for disability, and they should be giving you your disability.
Absolutely.
I am going through the process of going for disability, but they just denied me.
You know, the bottom line is your disability payments, I think there's a misunderstanding. Social Security disability is not a handout.
No.
This is when I was working, this is money, this is a forced savings plan where they took money out of my paycheck and they said, okay, Lydia, this is my government talking to me.
Right.
We don't trust that you can provide, because you're such an incomplete, we don't trust that you could save on your own. So what we're going to do is put you in this forced savings plan, and we're going to sell it to you by making you believe that when you need it, your money will be here. So what Mr. LeBeau is doing, and is now that you're disabled and you can't work, now you have to fight the government to get to your money.
Right.
Because this is not a handout. This is
No.
your money.
No.
And one of the things they're calling it is an entitlement program.
It's not an entitlement program. It's just that there's been such gross mismanagement of money that, you know, that our government now is broke or going broke. And one of the issues in my case, and I'm going to tie this in a little bit, is that in my case, my medical school, the crooked doctors at my medical school, because you're a nice person, you're nice, but I'm the attack dog. The crooked doctors at my medical school.
You don't know me that well yet.
Oh, good. No, I think this is going to
The red hair is colored, but it's real underneath.
This is going to be great. The crooked doctors at my medical school falsified financial information and lied to steal money. They lied to steal state TAP money. They lied to steal Pell. Doctors are falsifying records to steal money. And you know what really makes me outraged? And the Nassau County Civic Association? The amount of money it took to persecute me could have paid for 4 or 5 good teachers.
Sure.
Could have paid. So this is the money, the taxpayer dollars, and that's why when I went to the Nassau County Civic Association, they were outraged. They're like, we go to work, we work really hard. The last time I checked, and my information is dated, but the last time I checked, taxpayers will work January, February, March, April, at least 4 months to pay city, state, local, federal taxes. This is why when I went and started reaching out to the Tea Party people, taxed enough already.
Sure.
You know, we work really hard, we pay taxes, and then we got these people who are falsifying money to steal. And when I started telling them about how my medical school lied to steal money in a federal student loan program, how they lied to steal TAP money, how they lied to steal federal state TAP grant, how they lied to steal federal money, and another student called me and said, oh my gosh, they've done the same thing to us. I'm like, these doctors are false. Would you love to have a job where you sat around all day and typed up false records and they gave you a paycheck? Unbelievable.
Only in America.
Unbelievable. The fraud, waste, and abuse that could really go to important things.
Sure.
Unbelievable. And it's not only that, I mean, you don't know me, so try to hold on to your hat. But because I was exposing all this, what happened was I needed my records from my school. My false records at my medical school are being used to create a foundation of false records. I've already got admissions. I'll talk you through some of the litigation points because you'll want to check me out. Sure. I already have law enforcement on a federal level that checked a lot of my evidence. I caught doctors lying, and one of the students called me and said, would you be a witness in 2006? I'll give you one quick litigation point. In 2006, there was a student, and I was called and said, would you be a witness? I said, yes. And they're like, well, you know, we'll protect you. I'm like, use my name. Had I known years later, maybe I would have done things a little differently. I was like, use my name. I was called as a witness against the medical school and specifically John Scarfone, dishonest general counsel, dishonest attorney. I caught him in more lies than I know what to do with. I was named as a witness against the school and John Scarfone. And they said, you know, I needed my records to show that they had lied. One of the things they said was that I had failed all my classes as a first-year medical student except for Todd Olson's anatomy class. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Not that good a class, huh?
Ridiculous. Of course I didn't. So the school was forced to release documents that showed that I was telling the truth. The reason my school pressed false criminal charges was the attorney that John Scarfone, for example, was a complaining witness against me, said that he felt annoyed that I called and asked him. Now this is the setup, okay? They falsify your records. Do you love this?
I do.
They falsify your records. This is called entrapment. This is a defense of entrapment. They falsify your records, and then the person you're supposed to call and ask for your records is the attorney who went to court to lie about you. So what is he going to say? Well, of course, Miss Radin, here are your records that show I'm a great big liar, and they should revoke my license to practice the law. Right? So what he did was he dashed down to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and claimed, pressed charges against me for aggravated harassment, claiming that my phone calls were annoying to him.
Okay.
Well, if I was an attorney who was paid $300,000 a year to go lie in federal court about another student, and Lydia Radin called up and said, I've had it, give me my records, I want to access them and correct them, and you won't believe the bozos of our federal courts. When I talk to you about the idiot Judge Robert P. Patterson Jr., the bozo in federal court, he loves me, he's going to hate me so much. What are you going to do to me, Judge Patterson? Fabricate more stupid rulings about it? They've fabricated, wholesale made up fabricated rulings about how former students at a medical school could not access and correct their records. And it would be a circus, and I'd be doing stand-up comedy, except that...
We have a comedy tour, by the way.
Yeah, I could do you really?
We do.
Oh my God, you should feature
We do.
Yeah, maybe you
We
can
do.
feature it.
And the proceeds are actually going toward air units for 9/11 responders.
God, this
It'd be a great tie-in.
This is like God. Does God talk to us? Or?
A lot, every day.
You,
Oh, I believe, yes.
do you really?
Yes, it brought me here. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Lydia.
No, thank you.
Are you Christian?
Yeah. No, I'm actually Jewish.
Are you
Yeah,
really Mazel Tov?
Yeah, Mazel
Really?
Tov, yes.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Which, who's your rabbi? Who do you do?
I actually, I'm looking for a new synagogue in Delaware right now.
Are you really?
Yes.
See, I would have thought you would have hated me because part
No.
of the reason that I'm talking to my medical school is not only are there criminal charges, and yes, there are real criminal charges, but there's civil issues that talk about separation of church and state.
Right.
And my medical school advertised, Yeshiva University advertised, that it's an Orthodox Jewish school.
Really?
In fact, they're not. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Okay.
Let me correct this. When I was interviewing, they told me they were non-denominational.
Oh, okay.
In fact, they're an Orthodox Jewish school.
Okay.
And the reason why this issue came up is, who cares?
Right.
I don't care if you're an Orthodox Jewish school. You know, if you had told me that you were an Orthodox Jewish school, I would have said, that's really nice.
Sure.
That's not a place where I'm going to fit appropriately.
Right.
I have offers to go to other medical schools, a state school and a private school. And I'll go because, you know, as an unmarried, older woman, there's just no way that I'm going to be a
Right.
role model in the Orthodox Jewish community because
Really?
that's not
Really?
what, that's not what they...
Shocked.
No, so I would say,
Yeah.
listen, it's so nice that you have this Orthodox Jewish school, and God bless you. And you know, the Orthodox Jewish students that I knew when I was a Columbia student, you know, were very nice people. But this is not a place where that's going to be the appropriate fit for me. Instead, they lied and said they were non-denominational,
Okay.
and they used me as a token in the admissions process. They needed to demonstrate diversity, and for lots of reasons, I demonstrated diversity. And then once they got me in, and again, this goes to Martin Bockstein, dishonest attorney, who used me in criminal schemes. And God will get you, Martin.
It comes back around, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. If they had just told me we're an Orthodox Jewish school,
Right.
I would have been, thank you so much for the
Have a nice
invite.
day.
I've got other places to go. They weren't honest, and this brings up the separation of church and state
Sure.
issue. So when I go down to argue with Senator Charles Schumer, I said, listen, who's against? And the reason why they do this is because they're an Orthodox Jewish school. They want the public money. So they want to sit on two seats. So what they do is they pretend that they're non-denominational. They suck on a lot of people that wouldn't have gone there. They get the public money, and then what they do is they have these people that they deem not desirable. Like at that school, I was labeled. I was told that I was a goy, that I was not human.
Right.
And so I'm like, why did you invite me to your school if you think of me literally as the heathen, how did they call me, the heathen, that which contaminates. I'm like, if you consider me a contaminant, why did you bring me to your school? So and you know, this was so bad that there was a conservative Jewish woman. Diane Persky, she was a associate dean, I forget what her title was, but she was at Stearns Women's College. Now, she's a conservative Jewish woman. She sued Yeshiva University successfully in 1999 for religious discrimination because she was told she wasn't Orthodox enough. If you met this woman,
Not Orthodox enough.
not
Okay.
Jewish enough.
Not Jewish enough.
Almost like,
Is that like being not black enough?
Can't we all just get along?
Exactly. Where's the love?
I was like, so here's your problem. I'm watching the time because I want to make sure we get back to you before.
Thank you.
But
This is
here's
fascinating.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a great
We
time.
will.
But if you have a comedy show, oh my
Oh, we
God,
do.
I'm there.
We do.
I have more stand-up material than I know what to do with. But the bottom line is they're an Orthodox Jewish school. They want the public money, so they lie. Excuse me, as a religious school, thou shalt not lie, Rabbi Lamb. Thou shalt not steal money from thy students, Rabbi Lamb. Thou shalt not kill thy students, Rabbi Lamb. I mean, what kind of religious school is this? So, I mean, they wanted the public money. They lied to get it, and now they're caught, and they don't know what to do, and they're twisting in the wind. But the bottom line is, really opened the door for the rest of us, because when I went to talk to my senators in Washington, I'm like, who's against? I think it's fabulous what Yeshiva University is doing. We all pay taxes, and our tax dollars go to promote private religious education. So how much money do the Catholics get? Who's against?
Yeah,
it's
really.
fabulous. You know, so when I started bringing out the separation of church and state issue, that led me to a guy named Mr. Mikey Weinstein, who's a former White House attorney. And we started looking at the separation of church and state issues. Can you show me the great big wall of separation of church and state at Yeshiva University? Because I don't see it, Mr. Vance, District Attorney Vance. I confronted him. So basically, I'm not against, you know, for the last 50 or 60 years or so, we all pay taxes, and our tax dollars go to promote private religious education for one group. That's not fair. What about the rest of us?
Right.
You know, and that's not what the Establishment Clause of our Constitution says. The Establishment Clause says we support all religious groups equitably and fairly, or none. What our founding fathers did not want was one state-backed religion, because that's what they were running away from.
Exactly.
In the Protestant church, exactly. The Protestant church were oppressing people. They didn't have freedom of religion. They didn't have freedom of association, and that's why our founding fathers came to America. So I'm not against. I'm just saying, if our tax dollars are going to promote one religious group, then promote all religious groups equitably and fairly. And that's what America's about. That's not the situation we have today. We haven't had that situation for 50, 60 years, and it's not anti-Semitic for me to talk about that or to educate about our Constitution or the Establishment Clause, and to say, okay, so we've had this imbalance in America for 50, 60 years. How are we going to remedy it? We're not going to go forward denying reality. So if the solution would be that all religious groups get a great deal for 50, 60 years, and the small segment of the population that got a great benefit loses that benefit for 50, 60 years. So in the end, we come out equal. That seems fair to me.
Sure.
How does that strike you?
It's a lot closer than where you came from.
So because I opened my mouth about some of this stuff, I've been called an anti-Semite. I'm such an It's, a lot of people are silenced because of that. I'm such an anti-Semite that it was Orthodox Jewish students from the Orthodox Jewish school that lied that it's not Orthodox Jews that called me and asked me for help. You know?
I need a scorecard for this. Okay.
No, seriously.
I'm
I'm such an anti-Semite that I was running programs out of their main library, and I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get back to you because they might cut us off a little early.
Okay.
I was doing business deals with Rabbi D. Michael Hecht, and he asked me for a free demonstration class. He asked me for something for free, and instead of giving him one for the boys, I gave him two, one for the girls, because I'm sick and tired of the Orthodox Jewish girls get screwed, and I'm like, no, that's not happening. And then I ran around Stern College and told everybody what a great guy Rabbi D. Michael Hecht was. He's great, you know. He had me on the mat negotiating. But let's go back to trying to help people.
Sure.
So this is. We are going to love each
Yes,
other.
we will.
So this is a Firefighter Cancers Foundation.
Right.
And we only have. It looks like we only have like 8 or 9 minutes left in the show. So let's make sure that.
Tell you a little more as far as about us. As I said before, we're resource-based is how we began as a result of the over 200 firefighters that we lost to cancer in Anne Arundel, Maryland, and the 2,000 exposed to ultra-hazardous PCBs. Interestingly enough, the research over the past 20 years showed that the same thing happened with anyone that had a fire training academy in the 1970s or early 80s. The EPA actually banned PCBs, but there were locations that continued to ship them to fire academies for many years after, because again, the oil was free, it burned pretty, and firefighters didn't know differently. So as a result, we saw that as one of the catalysts to the firefighter cancer trends that we're currently seeing. What's different with the fire service and with cancer is that right now they're running on average 10% higher than the normal population in many parts of the world. And this is something that through the research that we're doing, we're continuing to identify. We're linking the universities with the research and the folks around the world, so we're not reinventing the wheel. So we're sharing doctors, we're sharing attorneys, we're sharing folks that are successfully basically fighting for the rights and the benefits for those that, like the folks here for 9/11, can't be successful in advocating for themselves.
But the reason why Cindy's here today to stay on target is if you're suffering today, if you can't breathe today, we will do whatever we have to do to get you an air filter.
Absolutely.
This is the air filter we'd like you to have, and we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that we get it. Am I overreaching here? But
No.
Low cost, reduced cost.
Absolutely.
Or can we get a few for free?
We actually are donating them for free. Keith is receiving a free air unit. We have Vita Valente, who is actually a Delaware resident now, but served here for 9/11, was a resident at the time, is receiving his unit on September 15th, thanks to the Delaware Fire Chiefs. And it's through the generosity of different organizations and individuals and different efforts that we're able to make them
If you're a member
available.
of the police department or the fire department or emergency medical worker or
anyone
military,
anyone that served, anyone that served, we've actually opened up the program at all.
Okay, so why don't you give us your numbers again?
Sure.
Now, what I ask is, no matter, if this goes out to a very large audience.
You didn't tell me you were getting a free air filter, you bum.
Well, I just found this out.
Okay, good.
If there are people in other states that actually see this and they know of a responder that's sick, that needs help, they have to start reaching out now because there's a lot of stuff that's going on, that's coming up, that they need to know about. They have to be educated on it, and they have to come into the community, because if we don't have them in the community, we're not going to be able to help them. Not only that, there's strength in numbers. The bigger our family becomes, the better off all of us are going to be, because we'll be able to share resources. We'll be able to help each other.
And one really great political action group is the Feel Good Foundation.
Yes.
Very much.
Okay, so you definitely want to go to the Feel Good Foundation and join up with them, and they will advocate.
And please, if you don't know a responder that's sick, maybe you could find out there's one, and please help them. And also, please, like for Cindy's foundation, please, if you want to get involved, please donate something. It doesn't matter what it is, but numbers count for all of these people.
They do. We've been working for the past year with the urban search and rescue teams nationwide as well. And we have folks from all over the U.S. and folks that came in again to set their lives on hold and take care of the folks here in New York and at the Pentagon outside of Washington. And those are the folks now that we're seeing that are sick and are dying and are affected by this.
So what happened to when the Pentagon was on fire and they had to reverse the air conditioning to try to get that smoke out?
Well, interesting enough,
what's happened to those guys? Because I know what we're doing in New York, but what's happened to those guys?
Just that there have been challenges here with folks basically being told not to talk about their illnesses, not to fight the system. We've had some cases where we've actually found the responders there have been told the same thing. You're not really sick, you're not really having issues.
Oh no, we're not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not. That's not happening.
Is the government really afraid that this is gonna? There's so much money involved, and they just want.
I really think no one wants to open the checkbook. I really think that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
They would rather donate money to other countries when they have disasters before they take care of their own.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do today is make sure if you need an air filter.
Charity starts at home.
Okay, so what you're going to do is give out your numbers again.
Toll free, 866-411-3323. That's 866-411-3323. The website is ffcancer.org. The phone is on all the time, 24/7. Shoot us an email. We also want to hear your stories. How are you affected by the incidents of 9/11? How it changed your lives, and folks that basically you've been touched through that experience as well. Lydia, thank you so much as far as for bringing us out and helping to bring this program again to the forefront. We just want to let folks know that we want to provide quality of life, help them to breathe, and just help them to survive.
And this is the website again. I've put it up here, and Cindy will be visiting us again.
Absolutely.
We love firefighters.
Thank you.
And firefighters save lives. So do police officers, except for Detective Cologne, and you sure are ready. I have to work this in.
I guess you shouldn't get an air unit from us. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I would never deny Detective Cologne his health, but he should be a man already. You confess to lying on the witness stand and face me. I go up to Keith LeBeau, keeps an eye on me when I go up to Washington Heights, and you're going to love me. When I chase the police detectives, they run away. I'm like, tell Detective Cologne to pick me up and face me like a man. But again, if you need help and you
Please.
need, and your immediate need right now is, we're going to go out in about 2 minutes. So if you need an air filter, if you need help to breathe, just call Cindy and she'll help. And if you have other issues, and this includes if you happen to have been in Washington.
Correct, correct. Both the Pentagon and the World Trade Center sites.
Do the Pentagon know that you're doing all this? Do
No.
you have-
No.
Well, then we got to call. No, we're out. We're out now.
Okay.
They don't know? Well, then we have to call.